Right, we are live on YouTube. Great. Margaret, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Very good. Very good. You can hear me, I'm sure.
Yes, I can. Very well.
Very good. Yeah, okay. Sorry that we couldn't go live on the other platforms, but here we are. This will go well, definitely. So, except that now we are on YouTube Live and not Facebook Live. But I can ask someone to link us to the YouTube to share the YouTube link somewhere later on. Okay, so great. Give me a second. Okay. Sorry, I was trying to get, I was trying to reduce the interference. I was trying to reduce the interference of the YouTube channel with what we have here. So I think we are set now. Great. This has been one of those tough evenings, especially because technology gave us a little bit of trouble. But as you know, these sort of things happen. Okay, so here we are. We're on a platform we can discuss, and this is going to be on my channel on a permanent basis, and then we can share it with other people. And well, I think it's going to be interesting. Great. So, ladies and gentlemen, those of you that are watching here on this YouTube channel, and those that will watch later, I want to welcome you to what will now turn out to be a more brief discussion on our topic tonight, which is the sleep. We're going to talk about sleep and sleep hygiene, and my guest is ready. Margaret J here is a guest that I've listened to before, and I really asked her if I could have her on this particular show, which she graciously agreed. So I'm going to give a very quick kind of introduction to you, Margaret. I'm going to tell our audience, give them a little bit of a background, and by going through your brief profile, and then we can get the conversation underway. So, ladies and gentlemen, my guest is Margaret Dogi J here, and Margaret is a registered clinical psychologist and practicing child therapist. So Margaret holds a bachelor's degree in counseling psychology, a master's degree in child development. I like the child development bit. That is family studies major, and is currently a doctoral candidate in clinical psychology at USIU Africa University, United States International University, Africa, that is here in Nairobi. And so Margaret is the co-founder of Family Wellness Center and the lead clinical psychologist in that particular center, part of that. And Margaret, you'll be telling us more about that. The other thing about Margaret is of course, the Family Wellness Center is a leading counseling and consulting firm based in Lavington and here in Nairobi. And so the other thing that Margaret does is that she's an assistant lecturer of psychology at the Technical University of Kenya, which is a very good thing. It helps to teach. You kind of get to learn more as you teach. And yeah, so there are other things that she does. Margaret is vice chairperson of the Aga Khan University Ethics Review Board and a member of the USIU Ethics Review Board as well. That is good. And Margaret is a mother of two adults, young adults, and a mother-in-law and a grandmother to a 5-month-old baby. That's great. Ah, great, great. Your grandmother, really? Good. So tell us, I'm sure there's
Yes,
something
yes,
also I
and
haven't talked about. So please take the floor and expound a little bit on that before we get to the subject as you welcome yourself.
thank you very good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be your guest this evening. I am humbled by the very kind gesture. And I think you've said it all. Yes, and I am a grandmother. He's actually now 6 months old.
Wow.
And today I've been doing the grandmother duties.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. I think when we talked, I think yesterday, I had some child crying in the background. So
Yes.
uh, that's the grandmother job you're doing, yeah? That's great.
Yes. Yesterday and today I've been a grandmother doing the grandmother roles. It's
Yes.
a it's an amazing feeling. I can't get a word to put to it what that means and what that feels. I can only say it's about God when He promises that you will live to see your children's children. It's an amen
Okay.
right there.
Mm.
Yes.
That's true. That's true. Very good. Margaret, I'm very happy to have you. I listened to you talk about the same subject of sleep and sleep hygiene. And I understand there is limitation of how much we can talk about in this kind of a forum. I really want you to get straight to the core of this thing called sleep. And uh, really, so I think to begin us off, describe for us this phenomenon called sleep. We all sleep. We all go through this sleeping business every day, hopefully, and unless otherwise seriously interrupted. So, but I think most of us hardly really understand what sleep is about. So, and being a clinical psychologist, I'm sure you've studied this quite well, and you're versed with the literature and the science of it. So you can describe to us what sleep is, and yeah, and the other surrounding issues about sleep. Good. Please go ahead.
So thank you very much. I am hoping that my internet will not act up. We are having power surges that just keeps going on and off. Yes. Let me start by speaking and to the viewer and start by saying that sleep is one of the most important things that as a human being we need to pay a lot of attention to and take very seriously. But sadly, it's one of the things about us that we don't pay too much attention about, and we don't take seriously. And it's in some cases it's just seen like it's a by the way, that it's at night I have just to go to bed, but I would rather be seated doing other things instead of me sleeping.
Mhm.
And it's also highly attributed to the development of many mental disorders. And like you said, as a clinical psychologist, we really study sleep as and the many different forms of sleep disorders, because when you're doing assessment for a disorder or a mental illness like depression, then sleep is one of the one of the criteria that you use
Mhm.
as a
Yeah.
diagnostic criteria that you
Right.
use when you're talking about even other disorders. You're looking even at substance use, you'll still find sleep. All the mood disorders, we'll still be
Yeah.
talking about sleep. All the other disorders, especially the aging disorders, you're going to talk about sleep. So it's very important. And sleep is a behavior. It's a very specific behavior. It's about two cycles. It's about
Mm.
being asleep and being awake. So when we talk about sleep, we talk about the cyclic, because you'll be alternating between awake and sleep. And then the
Wow.
other thing that's important when we talk about sleep is we must remember it's not just about the number of hours you are in bed.
Mhm.
The hours is one thing, the
Mhm.
time you go to bed and the time you wake up is another thing. And then most
Yeah.
importantly, it's about the quality of sleep, because you
Right.
can be in bed for 9 hours. And you know, as a grown up, you and I, we are supposed to be sleeping for between 7 and 9 hours. You and
Mhm.
I, children, much longer than that. But it is
Yes.
not about the number of hours, really. The hours are okay, yes, the quantity, but most
Yeah.
importantly is the quality of sleep. And then it's also important to mention that sleep accounts for about a quarter to a third of your lifespan. So if you're going
Actually,
to
yeah.
live
And
75 years, yeah, if you
yeah.
live
So you could.
75 years, then 25 years of that will go to sleep. So you might as well spend that time and get value and let it be quality
But
time spent. Yes.
that's true. I think that's a very interesting statistic. That it's a quarter, between a quarter and a third, 25 years asleep. And if you do a very bad job at it, I think then perhaps it might not be helpful. Or if you altogether say, no, I am not going to give up these 25 years, I will use them. I don't know whether that's going to be productive. Anyway, go on and unravel that a little bit more.
So because we are saying a third of your life or a quarter of your life, then that just goes to demonstrate how important that quarter of your life is.
Yes.
Because then we are saying if you are sleep deprived, then there are
Mhm.
many other things that will be affected. For example, you talk about mood.
Mhm.
Uh, and when you don't get quality sleep, and you know,
Yes.
for anyone who is with us this evening, if you don't
Yeah.
get good quality sleep, you wake up
Yeah.
very moody the following day, because then
Yes.
your body did not get the rest that it needed. And there's a very high relationship between sleep and your mood and emotional stability. And people who are sleep deprived, then they don't experience what we refer to as not well emotionally regulated. So you
Mm.
are swinging between different states, mood states. Then the other
Mm.
thing you notice, if you don't sleep well, then you
Yeah.
wake up lethargic. And
Okay.
lethargy is not physical tiredness. Lethargy
Yes.
is emotional and it is psychological. So you sort of wake up the same way you went to bed the previous night, now that it's also
Yeah.
added by not a very good mood. So if you're
Yes.
starting your day on that state, then that basically goes to say, Gigi, that then your day is not going to be very productive,
That's true.
because your
Yeah.
starting is very important. How you start your day is
Mm.
it's very important.
Right.
The other thing I want to mention when we talk about sleep are two very important things. Number one is what we refer to as the circadian rhythm, and the circadian rhythm is the
Mm.
biological clock, and
Okay.
and
Yes.
our body is wired uh, in a beautiful way that
Mm-hmm.
knows when it is time to sleep, when it is time to stay awake naturally. If you don't
Yeah.
interfere
Yeah.
with that biological rhythm by drugs, by all the other things that we do to disrupt that system. So because
Yes.
it is an internal system, like an internal clock, it
Mm-hmm.
it guides, or it makes the system work such that you'll be awake at a certain time and you're going to be asleep at a certain time. Remember, we are talking about the sleep-wake cycle and this circadian.
Yes.
So because it is a biological clock, what does it do? One, it is controlled in,
Yeah.
it's located in the brain, and its function
Okay.
is to switch off. It's this switch between being awake and being asleep.
Right. Yeah.
And how it switches that is that towards late in the afternoon, then it switches a knob or a switch that
Yeah.
begins to release a hormone that you call melatonin. And
Okay.
melatonin is that hormone that helps us sleep.
Okay.
So the
I've
circadian
noted that
rhythm
melatonin thing.
responds, yes, it responds, it helps respond to the light cue. So during the day, then the circadian peaks the light through the sense that stay awake.
Yeah.
And then at night, when it picks darkness, then it
Yeah.
sends message to the brain that you need to be asleep. So it
Okay.
helps to switch between the two states, being awake and being asleep.
Very good.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
we,
So
yeah,
maybe you
sorry?
can explain that a little bit more. So you're saying
Mhm,
there's this rhythm, the circadian
mhm,
rhythm,
mhm.
which regulate the wakefulness and sleep,
Yes,
which
correct.
is really like the two states we play around with, right?
Mhm,
So, and then you're saying that, so let's say we take a starting point, like in the morning when you're up,
mhm,
by around afternoon, the body releases the cycle. If the cycle is working fine,
mhm.
it releases some kind of this thing you're calling melatonin,
Mhm.
kind of uh, what do you call it? It's not a drug. It's
It aids in sleep.
yes. So then, which then begin to notify the body that in a matter of hours, as the day wears down, and as the lights will be soon be going off, along the
Mhm,
way,
mhm.
your body is like preparing itself towards that sleep bait.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
correct.
Yes.
Let me add something to that. The
Yeah.
body releases different hormones throughout,
Yes.
um, because then it works automatically, and
Mhm. Yes.
in a way such that it is going to release the right hormone at the right time when
Yes.
your body has the balance, because the system strives to have a balance.
Yes.
So when there is something, for example, you're stressed up, stress destabilizes the balance, the homeostasis
Yes.
state of the
Yes.
system. So then what is
Yes.
going to happen is you will have some different type of hormones being
Mhm.
overproduced.
Yes.
And when one aspect is working too much or firing too
Mhm.
much, like a car,
Yeah.
then another part of the system is under firing, if I can,
Yes.
explain it that way. Because then the
Yes. Correct.
system is working to protect itself from being overwhelmed. So
Exactly.
our our body, the way we are wired, they are not too. We don't have any time that different states are competing. They complement, all trying to strike at a healthy balance,
Okay.
so that then the system doesn't crash because it is
Mhm.
overwhelmed. So
Yes.
um, during the day, there
Mhm.
is also another hormone that is called the adenosine that is
Mhm.
released throughout the day.
Mhm.
And the higher the levels, the adenosine, one of its importance in the body is that it helps in initiating sleep. So there is
Okay.
melatonin, there is adenosine. So it keeps on building the reserves, the body keeps on building the reserves of adenosine, because this is what is
Mhm.
going to push you and to initiate
Yes.
sleep. So,
Okay. Okay.
and then the melatonin we are seeing is also
Mhm.
released again at night to facilitate, also to help with the sleep. So
Yes.
what happens is that during the early morning hours of the day, from
Mm-hmm.
about 4 a.m., 3 a.m., and, all the way up to midday around 1 p.m. We have
Mm-hmm.
another hormone called the cortisol that is being released. Cortisol is an
Yes.
energy-inducing hormone, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
makes you wake up during in the morning when you're
Mm-hmm.
feeling you have the energy to carry yourself during the day. But
Yes,
then,
exactly.
because this is giving you energy, it can't continue
Mm-hmm.
throughout the day,
Yes.
being pumped into high volumes throughout the day, because
Yes.
then it's going to interfere with the adenosine and then the melatonin. So
Mm-hmm.
around midday, the cortisol levels begin to drop, and
Okay.
then the adenosine and now levels are building and building and gaining momentum. Sleep is beginning to gain momentum, and that kind of a thing. So
Yeah.
if you disrupt this system,
Yes.
like you're stressed up or
Yeah.
you're very anxious, then you
Yes.
have lower adenosine levels and higher cortisol levels.
Mm-hmm.
And then that explains why this individual will have trouble
Mm-hmm.
falling asleep.
Okay.
I don't know
Yeah, yeah,
if,
that's very
if the
clear.
science is too much.
That's clear.
That's
I
clear
know
up to that point.
yeah, it's clear, and I think what you're basically saying that this hormone system is a very intricate balance. It's very well
Yeah.
balanced. There is timing. It's like one exchanges with the other as the cycle goes through, so that when you need to be awake, you're awake. The cortisol kicks in early in the morning, 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. or thereabout, where now you begin to you become wakeful basically
Mm-hmm.
because this thing
Mm-hmm.
has been
Mm-hmm.
released. And then what you're saying is that it takes you through the day. You need that energy, you need the alertness, can function. And then now, because you will need to sleep, then you start kind of like getting a small dose of adenosine, yeah? Is it adenosine? Yeah. And
Yes.
melatonin. Yeah.
Yes.
So that other, mix that begins then to kind of like slow you down along the day. I think there is something I have heard you mention before, the afternoon nap. Where does that come in?
Okay.
Because kind of most of
Okay.
us,
Before we
after we
come to
have
the
our
afternoon,
nap, yeah.
our
Yes, go
lunch,
on.
yeah. Before
Yes,
we come to the afternoon nap, let's talk about the other thing about sleep, and that's the sleep drive.
yes,
So now that we know how the biological clock works about
yeah,
sleep and the different hormones that are at play, then there
yeah,
is something that you call the sleep drive, and the sleep drive is now the urge that pushes you to fall asleep, and the
yes,
sleep drive also helps to have the melatonin again produced. You need to, your system is being moved from or switched from being awake to asleep.
yes,
So what happens with the sleep drive? When you're hungry,
mm-hmm.
your body can't force you to eat.
Okay,
It can't literally compel you and push you to sleep. When you're thirsty, your body can't do that. But
yeah,
when you need to sleep and the sleep drive is so high,
yeah,
the sleep drive pushes you and compels your system to sleep, whether you like it or not.
or not.
And that explains why people who are sleep deprived,
Yeah,
because they haven't been sleeping very well, they will
mm-hmm.
even fall asleep on the steering
So
because
I
the
think
sleep
that
drive.
is huge. I think I
Yes.
like what you're driving at, and I think what I'm getting is the fact that sleep drive itself as a force in our system is
Mhm.
way so powerful. It is more
Mhm.
powerful than say hunger, because you can
Mhm.
yeah, you know you are hungry, you can feel the pangs, but you can't like collapse because of it unless you're really starving to death. You can be thirsty, you're very clear, you're very thirsty, but you can still go on and suppress that somewhat. But what you're saying is that the sleep drive is a much more bigger force in terms of
Mhm.
its impact on our behavior. It kind of like drives you to bed somewhat, and if you refuse to sleep, then you just basically go blank. Yes,
It's
you're
going to
absolutely
force
right.
you. Either
It's gonna
way, you
force you.
will. Yes, and that explains like when people fall asleep while they're on the steering.
Yes.
It's not sleep for too long. It's actually a micro sleep episode.
Hmm.
Micro because it could be just a few seconds, and
Yes.
some people have the micro sleep episode even with their eyes open. I want you to think
Uh-huh.
about when you're in a meeting and
Yeah.
you're sleep deprived, and you
Yeah.
just the need to sleep is so high that you find
Yeah.
yourself for 10 seconds or 5 seconds, you passed out for a few seconds and then you came
Yes.
back, and that's just
Yes.
what the sleep drive is about. And that, as a result, again, when you are sleep deprived, then the push is too high. And this is why it's very important for us to understand when you feel so sleepy, and especially during the day and it's not at night, then you need to look at the quality of sleep and the number of hours that you're sleeping. Because if you have the right amount of sleep and you have the right quality of sleep, then during the day you're awake, and that doesn't happen. So then,
Yeah.
coming back to the napping,
Yes.
one of the things for some people, because it's not everyone, one of the a nap is a good thing, but power nap,
Yes.
and a power nap is anything that's less than 10 minutes,
Okay.
really short, 7 minutes, 5 to 10 max is a good power nap. Now,
All right.
if you sleep for 30 minutes, it's no longer a
Yes.
power nap. And if you
Okay.
sleep for 1 hour, it's no longer a
Hmm.
power nap. And this
Hmm.
is what happens when you take too long, um, when you sleep for too long, especially
Hmm.
during the day. Now, because sleep goes through stages,
Yes.
now when you have this long power nap, your
Hmm.
system picks that it is time to sleep.
Yes.
And the system wants to go through the cycles, the 4 to 6 cycles of sleep during the night.
Yes.
And for some people, 2 hours can actually take them through the cycles during the day. So when the
Hmm.
system picks that I have slept the cycles, then the system
Hmm.
is like, I'm good to go. I don't need to sleep again because I have,
Okay.
I've gone through the cycles that I needed to go. And that explains why some people, again, will have trouble sleeping at night because of the
Yes.
long power nap. And that's why now they're
Okay.
discouraged. Let them not be long, let them be very short. And if you're the kind of
Yeah.
a person who, even if you take that 10 minutes of power nap, you have trouble falling asleep at night, then don't take the
Yeah.
power nap because you need your good sleep at night. So it's very
Okay.
important to understand
Uh,
what does the power nap do for you and how long.
Okay. I think I like that. I think it's very, because I think the power nap is something that has been picked up in the corporate sector, especially in the world of work. And I think some people encourage it. You keep hearing people talking about it. But what you're saying is that there's a distinction between 30 minutes sleep, on some bed in an office, and a power nap, which is like between, is less than 10 minutes, which is really like the most appropriate, sort of period that you would say is a reasonable power nap. Anything above that is going to trigger the body to imagine, to actually think that it's sleep time. And the begin then activates the normal sleep cycles, and it should complete and all that. And if it's not completed, then you are like you kind of like have been startled from sleep. So your sleep is not complete. Your power nap was too long. You have interrupted your system, and now you kind of like now the body gets mixed up. Is that what you're saying? The
and
circadian cycle gets like now confused.
and the other thing we are saying is it works differently for different people, because then we all have different biological clocks when it comes to sleep, and also
Yes.
what we have attuned our system to.
Yes.
But if it really disturbs your sleep
Yes.
later at
Yeah.
night,
Yeah.
then you're discouraged from taking a long power nap. And in any case, what's a power nap? It's very short, very,
Yeah.
very, very short. It's a good thing, by the way, very good thing, but very short. And then the other thing about the power nap is if you take the power nap late in the afternoon,
Yeah.
a bit late in the afternoon, then there's
Yeah.
also the risk of it could also interfere with your sleep. So
Okay.
ideally, the power nap should be early afternoon, up to about 2, 3 o'clock around there. But when they extend to 5, 6 p.m., from 4, 5, 6 p.m., and then you're the kind of a person who goes to sleep at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m., then on the individual, and it's important for you to understand your system and your circadian rhythm and how it works, and also pay attention to how have you attuned your body in terms of your sleep hygiene. So those are important things to take into consideration when you're talking about sleep. Then the other thing that I would want to mention when we are talking about serotonin, then at night, the other thing that is very important is light and sleep.
Okay.
Now,
Explain that.
because we
Yeah.
said this circadian rhythm is switching between being awake and asleep,
Yeah.
then what happens, like now this is 9 after, or whatever color, that your eyes are picking, then it
Yes.
mimics daylight.
Okay.
And then the brain just understands, I need to stay awake, not
Okay.
to be sleepy. So you
Yes.
confuse your system. And this is again why, in terms of sleep hygiene, then you're encouraged to put off your gadgets, whether the TV and I know we are all in love with our phones, and your phone, your laptop, and very bright lights in the bedroom. Make sure at least you've put off your gadget 1 hour before you go to bed. If you can do more hours, the better. So that then your system doesn't pick that light, and it gives time to the circadian to switch and the melatonin to continue to be produced, which is also going to aid your sleep. And but then again, I know the last thing you want to do is have your phone, just by your bedside. And sometimes even when you're charging your phone, there is this red light that keeps on flashing. As long as the brain is
Exactly.
speaking that, then what happens? You're
Yes.
more likely to experience one of the many forms of insomnia, which is the sleep onset insomnia, meaning trouble falling asleep, because your system takes a while to turn down, if I can use that word. You know the way in hotels, they turn down, come and close the curtains, and it communicates, it's at night. So also your system needs that turn down. And how you turn it down is limit exposure to this kind of light that we are talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Great. I think I want to clarify a little bit on the gadget thing, because I think that's a very important thing, especially now that we're talking about the quality of sleep. So you're saying that as long as there is light, in your living room, for example, you have your lights, your TV's on, your phones are on, and all that. The body, the signal, the fact that that light is coming through your eyes, the signal to the body, to the brain, of course, the brain is the epicenter of all these, signaling. It's like, it's telling the body, no, it's not time to sleep at all. So you're saying if you're really going to have good, decent sleep, you must begin to starve your body of these lights and the associated, interferences, so that then the body can begin now to release the sleep, kind of adjust and begin to now go to and sleep, so that then that becomes helpful to everyone. Oh, great. I've
Yes,
got some
and
YouTube link on.
you
Yeah, so
know,
somebody's telling me to share
as
you.
long as
Yeah,
and as long as
just
you're
yeah. So, sorry for interfering. Yeah, I'm being asked to share my YouTube link on Facebook, and that might help. Copy streaming. Let me copy the streaming link, which I've copied, and then try and see if I can post it on some Facebook. So just hold that thought there. Then we will make sure we are being seen on the Facebook platform, and I think this will be helpful. Great, because I think what we're talking about is just absolutely profound. 1 second that we get this going. I have opened on a slightly different platform here. Let me share it. Oh, here we go. There. Okay. Yes, that's post. Yes, now I think we have something now on YouTube. Ah, great. Ah, great. Man, the devil is a liar. So we managed.
yeah.
Okay, great, great. I think this is amazing. Yeah, technology. So those of you that are following us on this, who are come on and I'm beginning to follow us up on Facebook. My guest is Margaret J here. We're discussing sleep and sleep hygiene. We are almost halfway, 3/4 way. My guest, we've been struggling with a bit of technology, but we managed to get live on the YouTube, and now we've shared the link to you guys. So great. So Margaret, you were talking about something very, very important. So let me leave the story of technology. Let people just sort themselves out. We're talking about the issue of, if you're going to enjoy sleep, you must allow your body to ensure that the system works itself to sleep properly. And one of the major interference you're saying is the lighting system. So explore that lighting business, the fact that the light is a major function in whether you switch, you switch to the sleep proper or not. Yes.
Okay, let's just take it again and try and expound on it a little. Now,
Yeah.
if you go back to the explanation of the switch,
yes,
to being awake and being, and wakefulness and sleep,
yes,
what happens? The brain gets messages through the sensory organs.
yes,
So in this case, we are talking about light.
yes,
And when the eyes pick the light,
yeah,
the message that gets into the brain is that the circadian rhythm switches the switch to stay awake. And when the
okay,
switch is to stay awake, the
yeah,
hormones that are supposed to aid sleep are not produced. Or if they are,
correct,
produced in low quantities.
correct,
And then the hormones that are supposed to keep you awake, there is an
yeah,
overproduction of them. And remember, we said when there is an overproduction in one, then the other it's lowered, because the system will not needs a balance so that it's not
Okay.
overwhelmed.
Okay.
So the gadget light, the TV, the laptop, the iPad, whatever it is, and your phone mimics the natural light.
Okay.
And now, imagine when you have your bedside switch off, but you have your telephone, you're on your phone.
Yeah.
So where is it? It's, like directly at your eye level.
Exactly.
So what is happening? The eye is picking that light
Correct.
and sending the message to your system that, hey,
Yes.
stay awake because there is light. And anytime there is light, it means you're not supposed to be sleeping.
Right.
And now that explains why the longer you stay with your phone, or on your phone, not on with your phone, but on your phone or on the gadgets,
Yeah.
then the longer you will take to fall asleep.
Okay.
That's one bit about, falling asleep. And then there is
Yeah.
the other bit. Whatever you're doing on your phone, you're moving from one social media platform to the other.
Yeah.
And if you notice, then you have these 10 seconds, video clips, and, as you move on from one to the other, then at 1 minute you're laughing, another minute you're angry. So then again, in terms of your mood, you are on this roller coaster, because you
Correct.
see this, you're upset, this comment, then you see this other comment and you want to laugh. And so what are you doing? You're not emotionally stable. Just like on a seesaw kind of a thing. So again,
Yeah.
what does that do to your system at night? Then your brain is stimulated, because the phone is a stimulant, the TV is a stimulant, whatever gadgets you're using at night, they are stimulant, and the light is a stimulant. So that also
That's true.
takes your brain a while to calm down, or to
Okay.
turn down, like we said. So this is how, then again, this interferes with inability to fall asleep, and also the quality of sleep, because then it will take you some time. And like someone who had their phone off 1 hour before they went to bed, they're more likely to get better sleep than you who just, you fell off while you are still on your phone, because your brain is still working. Brain doesn't shut down. And that's what gadgets basically do. So they really stimulate you, and then it takes a while for you to turn down and to get good sleep. So then they have the onset insomnia. That's the inability to fall asleep. And
Yeah. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
could
Exactly.
also
So
get,
I like now what you're beginning to describe. These challenges, because one of the things you're saying is that if you now having challenge of falling asleep, that's the onset of something you're calling insomnia.
insomnia,
Uh,
yes.
yes. Yes. You can go on and and expound on that and all those other related challenges. Yes.
There are three types of insomnia. And Gigi, let me start by saying this. There's nothing cool about not sleeping.
Okay.
And
I think that's a profound statement.
there is nothing cool about saying I have insomnia. And sometimes I read people posting, oh, team siku sako, where are you? What time? Let us know where you're logged in. You see those things at 3 a.m. and you're like, really? There is nothing cool whatsoever about not being asleep. Insomnia is a mental disorder. Let me just say it that way. It is
Black
serious,
and white.
and it has serious, yes, it's a mental disorder, and it falls under the sleep disorders. And there are people who need to be sleep aided, given medication, prescription by psychiatrists, in order for
Yes.
them to sleep. So please
Wow.
just, let's not make this thing look like it's for the cool kids or for the cool people or the people who are on the run, aggressive people, because there's a way we have made insomnia look like it's okay. And if you are not talking about insomnia, then you're not busy enough, you're not living on the fast lane. That's not true.
Exactly.
It's a mental disorder, it's a mental illness, and there is a problem.
Actually, Margaret, I will tell you one of the things I've been puzzling about is because I study entrepreneurs, and I have a lot of interest, and I've read a couple of books. I follow a few people, and I remember hearing this guy, Bill Gates, say, I think in some blog somewhere, somebody asked him how many hours he sleeps, and he said he sleeps 8 hours. And I was like, no, I thought that Bill Gates, being the kind of, very, very productive, creative person, one of those people would say has really been very successful entrepreneur, one of the biggest, that would expect that he would say, I sleep 2 hours. Sleep is not one of those things I must do, really, and that's how I make money. Because I think even if people don't admit it, there is a sense in which we think it's really like the less you sleep, the harder you work, the more hours you put in. Obviously, the more you get out. I mean, labor in, labor out, And so you're saying that really that is not necessarily in anybody's interest. And so I agree totally, because I was very, very surprised, because my model was the other way around. Less sleep, more success. But you're saying good quality sleep is what really people need if they are going to function properly. And surprising, some of the most successful people sleep properly. They sleep adequately. That's absolutely important. So talk about the other challenges, that the other kind of, you mentioned like there are types of insomnia. So maybe you could expound on that a little bit. Yeah.
We are coming from that school of thought that you have just explained, but yes, we'll come back to look at why do you need to sleep, the number of hours that you're supposed to sleep. So the second type of insomnia is the maintenance insomnia, and maintenance insomnia is the ability to stay asleep.
Okay.
There are people who don't have a problem falling asleep, but they have trouble staying asleep. So they will sleep for very few hours and then they are awake.
Okay.
And there are some people who have trouble falling asleep and trouble staying asleep as well.
Okay.
So when you realize that you're sleeping for very few hours and then you wake up, then we are talking about maintenance insomnia.
Okay.
And then the third is the early awakening insomnia, where you have people waking up very early in the morning and they have trouble going back to sleep after that.
Okay.
So you see, it's not usual, it's not normal to wake up every day at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., unless that's your regular hour of going to, waking up because you have to go to work. But if you find you wake up and then you have trouble, going back to sleep, and especially in the early hours of the morning, then you probably have the early awakening kind of insomnia. And all of them could be as a result of your sleep habits and your sleep, your routine and hygiene. And for example, people who will need to wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay, we understand, like, a medical condition like diabetic, they probably need to wake up at night to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
But then you need to check a couple of things about your sleep routine. So if you will have the need continuously to wake up to go, like on a daily basis to go to the bathroom at night, then you need to ensure that then you don't take a lot of fluids at night.
Yeah.
You probably need to stop taking your fluids, late evening, so that then your bladder. Then the other thing is thing, even as we wake up to go to the bathroom, because remember we said the light mimics the daylight, and that just sends
Yeah.
our system into a confused state. And that's why some people then, when they wake up to go to the bathroom at 3 a.m., then they don't go back to sleep again because of the light.
Yeah.
Then one of the other things we encourage is then dim the lights.
Okay.
Make sure that you probably are just using the corridor lights, or you're using a spotlight that is a bit dim, so that then the system will still pick darkness and not too much bright light, so that then you don't disrupt the system. So that's also something you encourage, especially those who are early awakening. So going back to talk about the issue of why do we need to sleep, and not just sleep, quality sleep, and the number of hours that we need to sleep. One, like we said, there's a relationship between mood and sleep. When you're sleep deprived, you are more likely to have a bad mood, or to be in a bad mood.
Okay.
And emotional instability. You sleep, and good sleep, so that you're rejuvenated, because sleep gives you energy. And when you're sleep deprived, you wake up on a low energy level. And when you're low energy level, then you're more likely to be very moody and grumpy. The other thing is that for people who are sleep deprived, including these people who like to be the ones who are working, and they have fancy names. Oh, I'm a night owl, I work better at night, and all manner of statements that we want to use to describe
rationalization, shall we call it?
Yes, our sleep habits. Then people who are sleep deprived also have a low immunity and a low immune system.
Okay.
So they are more susceptible. They are more susceptible to illnesses. Because then remember, when you're not asleep, your internal organs are still working. They're not taking the much needed, rest, because of they're not working. The digestive system, the heart, the lungs, they are not overworked. So then again, that helps in regeneration of the cells, like we studied in, biology in Form 2. So it also happens when we are asleep.
We did
If you
some elementary biology, and I think they told us in high school that yes, we need sleep so that the cells can regenerate. That's cool.
Yes. If you ever wondered why you did biology, it's one of the things. And then when you are asleep, we sleep because then the following day we are more alert. And now this explains the personality you are talking about. Because I slept well, I'm not deprived. I have energy. I'm rejuvenated. I'm in the right frame of mind. Emotionally, I am stable. Then this individual is alert, can pay attention, and can put in more time. And that just translates into better productivity.
Absolutely.
And that's
in
why
fact, Margaret,
you need good quality sleep.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll tell you, Margaret, because I do a lot of consultancy work. I mean, basically thinking work in writing. And sometimes, you're presented with this document, you really have to think through it and write it, propose, or something like that. I have discovered that when I'm in the right frame of mind, I can write almost like without error, like one off, you write from top to bottom. And when you look at that document, there's hardly anything to change. But then there are other times when you're so error prone, your document is haphazard. If you give somebody else to read, they are wondering, you missed some words completely. You wrote in a sentence and you left a word, the sentence is completely mixed up. So I think you're saying is that we cannot ignore this fact that if you're not quite properly oriented and properly clear in your mind, you're so compromised, and all you probably only need to be compromised like about 10% or 20%. That really compromises what you can achieve. Even in a normal workplace, you know, you're an accountant, you're a finance expert, you work for the bank or whatever it is, or a high charged, fast moving organization. It is actually so easy to lose money, to overcharge a customer, or to miss a certain information and cause a company to go into a loss situation. And it's not because there was something really unusual. It's just that your mind is not in the right state. Yeah. So I think it's properly put. Yeah. Correct. That.
It's
And
true.
then the immunity
And
bit.
then
Yeah.
the
Go
other
on.
thing, and especially
Yeah. Go on.
the other bit, and especially for students to understand is
Yes.
the reason your teachers tell you you don't have to burn the midnight oil is when we sleep, the part of the brain that is responsible for consolidation and solidifying of information, the hippocampus, works best when you're asleep. So all the day's learning needs to be well consolidated and filed in the right filing cabinet in the long sleep. Then you also interfere with the consolidation of memories. And that makes it very difficult for you to remember some things, because then they were not processed through the short term, from the short term to the long term memory. So it's basically like you're going to a filing cabinet to
Sorry, we're losing you.
where that page, because then sleep well, you've been up the whole night. So whatever you read has not been stored.
So sorry, Margaret, we lost you a little bit. I think
okay.
the network like went, you know, kind of like a bit hazy. But I got your point, and maybe I could restate it. What you're saying is that
okay. Let me just
yeah,
go back.
Yeah, you could say it,
Sorry.
state it again. Yeah, just state it again, and so that we get it clear. Thanks.
Okay. Sorry about that. So what is vital, and especially for the students, and even for us, you know, it helps us remember, because information is solidified and consolidated, and you know those memories at night, because that part of the brain, which we call the hippocampus, works best when you are asleep. Because during the day it's just taking in of information through the sensory organs, and then later when you sleep, then it is classified, it's merged, it's, you know, filed where it needs to be filed, and then when you need it, you can remember it. But if you don't sleep, then the hippocampus is not working, because all it's happening is there's a lot of information still coming in. The sensory organs are just picking. So as they continue to pick, then some of the information get dropped.
Yeah.
And once the information is dropped, then you will not remember it, because it doesn't exist at all.
Wow.
So you need to sleep and not read the whole night, because then what you read the whole night, it's most likely you will not remember it. And so the last minute reading for the students is then now what becomes your undoing, because then that's what makes it very difficult for you to remember, because you just didn't allow your brain, parts of your brain, to do what it's supposed to do.
I'm telling you, Margaret, this is you're knocking me. I mean, you know, you're doing your PhD in clinical psychology. I mean, that means you've passed many exams, including the coursework on your PhD program, which means so you can
Yes.
speak with authority about passing exams. You've done all the exams there is. I remember when I was doing my exam coursework for my PhD, um, I found, you know, I had to push like I always did, and of course my daughter was concerned that daddy is doing exams, and and I did pretty well. And it was the same old truth, you know, you read and then you have to work on it, and then you kind of subject yourself to the same process. But this time around, I was telling myself, look, I've been there, I've seen that, I've done this routine so long through all these courses. So, but I had to follow the same routine. So look at my notes, understand the content, assimilate the material, and and you know, I also teach when I teach students. One of the things I teach, especially bachelors, you know, freshers, I like teaching first semester bachelor students because I can also have time just to kind of share with them the journey. That this is going to be an odious journey, and you're going to face many mountains, and you better be ready for trouble. But I think what I normally tell them is that the most effective way of assimilating materials is you study whatever you study during the day, say evening class or daytime, then review it sometime in the evening before going to sleep. Say like early enough, say like as soon as you arrive in the house, you can flip through very quickly, review 20 minutes or even 10, what you studied in class, what the teacher was talking about and all that, look at your notes again and forget it, go to sleep. And I discovered that if you do that every day for whatever you are studying in during the day, in the evening for 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just consolidate, just checking it out. You know, we said point 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I can still remember the smile of the teacher and all that and all that. And then keep the books, go to sleep. You're saying your performance is so serious, you would not forget that, because the brain now after that, it kind of like organizes the files, the 7 points yeah, as you sleep, instead of the other model. Our model is opposite. You know, gather all information, mix it with television and movies and all that and all that, and then sleep a little bit, then wake up at 4 o'clock and try to get all that organized. Anyway, I love that, Margaret. That's very, very useful.
And you know, for the student, you know, for the students,
Yes,
that's
Margaret.
when now, because they didn't plan their time very well, that's how they even end up, you know, all manner of interesting things, including, let me have smoke a bit of marijuana to keep me awake, you know, because I need to read through the last minute. Anyway, it's a bad habit. The other thing we need to
All right.
mention about sleep is that there is nothing like you know, because you're so sleep deprived, like you're going to accumulate sleep and you're going to make up.
Okay.
It doesn't work like that. It
Oh,
doesn't.
okay.
Once a night is gone and you didn't sleep, that night is gone, and whatever damage has happened.
Okay.
And it will take a while to correct that damage. So you
Okay.
see the way it's not like a debt that you owe me that you can
Mhm.
accumulate and come and pay me with interest. With sleep, it does not work like
No,
that.
teenagers
So if
teenagers like playing that game. You know, stay awake the whole night and then sleep the rest of the day. On Sunday, sleep and try to pay. What you're saying is just effort in futility. Go on.
it is in futility, because like we said, you see, what needs to have happened while you were asleep, the good that needs to have happened, it didn't happen.
Mm.
So even if you sleep from 1 a.m. and sleep to the following day 1 p.m., it's not helpful at all. because
Yeah.
then again, you're changing your body's rhythm. And then you see this 1 a.m. to 1 p.m. is not sustainable, because the following day you will still wake up early. So you totally mess up and confuse your system. And that again explains why some people have onset insomnia, because their body is supposed to sleep, to be asleep. What time am I supposed to be awake? And so when it comes to sleep, you talk about sleep habits that are consistent and healthy routine, so that your body picks that. By the way, if you have a good sleep routine, you actually don't need an alarm clock to wake you up in the morning.
Wow. That's big.
Your system is wired and you will wake up without that.
Okay.
But that has to be consistent. And because we are talking about sleep hygiene, then one of the things we are saying is, number one, learn your body's sleep rhythm,
Okay.
so that you understand, first and foremost, what's your relationship with sleep.
Okay.
How do you two travel together? And how do you keep pitch there? What's your company like?
No, some people have a very acrimonious acrimonious relationship with sleep. Sleep and them are two people that are fighting for control over their lives. And one guy is refusing to submit themselves to Mr. Sleep, and the other one is, I mean, it's amazing. Yeah, I agree. There's a love-hate relationship.
And what's your I'm a Christian, and let me just say this, I'm a Christian, and I know we talk about waking up at 3 a.m. to fight the spirits, and then you go back to sleep. Now, let me speak as a psychologist here, with all due respect. And
Yes.
I'm a psychologist. Let me just speak as a psychologist here, that number one, it is not proper to sleep, wake up, and then go back to sleep, because you're interfering with your sleep pattern and with your sleep clock.
Okay.
That's
I think that's
one
clearly
of the
stated.
things.
Yes.
From a psychology, from a psychology point.
I was going to ask you that.
I know people will throw stones at me. I don't want people throwing
people
stones
are
at me.
in trouble here.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but once in a while, you can do a kesha and then repent. Is that okay? I'm throwing you in a tough corner.
No, I don't want to get to that corner. I'm speaking the gospel of psychology and talking about sleep hygiene. So now I leave it to you to bring in the spiritual angle to that one. What I'm saying is, be in sync with your body's natural sleep-wake cycle, understand your body, and then just understand, the more you keep throwing your body off balance in terms of your interrupted and disrupted sleep cycle, then again, that has a mental health implication. And that's what I want us to understand, that when you talk about sleep, sleep throughout and then wake up. Just sleep throughout and then wake up. I know some people will argue that I do that and I am okay the following day. Let me say this. You see, your body is what you teach, and you condition your body too. However, just because you've been doing that for a very long time doesn't make it the right thing to do. That's the message. You've been doing that, your body is used to that, you've conditioned it to that pattern, but is it the right thing to do? What we are saying, it's not the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
So why don't you have a healthy pattern and condition your body to a healthy pattern? So try to go to bed at a certain time and try to wake up at a certain time. The reason being, your body will go through the sleep cycle 4 to 6. And as long as your body goes through the sleep cycle, and then you get quality sleep, so you wake up rejuvenated and you're a better person the following day, and you don't have all the issues that we were talking about.
Absolutely.
I know people will say, I'll stay late on Friday night today and I'll sleep in tomorrow. Sleeping in tomorrow interferes with your rhythm. It's okay,
Yes.
but it interferes with your rhythm. And the bottom line here I want people to get is it interferes. It may
Yes.
not be the right thing to do. So just don't do it. Don't stay up late so that you can sleep in tomorrow. That's not, in the long run, it will come back and it's going to hit you. It's not the right thing to do. And then the other thing about sleep hygiene, like we said earlier, avoid exposure to light at night.
Okay.
And this is where, Gigi, we are saying exercise a digital curfew. I mean, right now the governments make sure we are all in the house at 9, by force, by fire. So
Digital
if
curfew.
you need good, yes, if you need good quality sleep, then why don't you also have a digital curfew and say, from this time, I'm not going to have my gadgets on, because then I love who I am. I am very concerned about my mental well-being. And because I am responsible enough, one of the things that I'm going to do is exercise good sleep hygiene.
Absolutely.
So
Uh,
get that digital curfew for yourself. It's for your own good at the end.
Absolutely.
So,
Margaret, I really must appreciate, I think the insights you've shared. I know we could take this. I can tell you, but because I really want us to stop, I know we have only scratched. So this must be part one. We have to revisit this in part two. And I appreciate you got some other things to attend to. And it is 10 o'clock, according to the clock I'm seeing here going. And since we're talking about sleep, it's time for us to go to sleep. So I
yes,
guess
yes,
so
yes.
we live by the same medicine. We don't preach water and take wine. I think what I love about what you're talking about, Margaret, is the idea. I mean, if I were to sum up, which I shouldn't be doing, is you should be summing up. I think what you're saying is that for the longest, a lot of people don't quite understand sleep. Sleep is one of those rhythms in our body that need to be allowed to function properly, just the same way we want to be healthy in terms of eating good food, good quality food. We pay attention to that. We pay attention to our general well-being, our health, physical. We don't want anything hurting us. I think what you're saying is that one thing that is a third or a quarter of our life is totally neglected, abused, not really, no, we don't quite pay attention. And if we can fix that as well, you're saying we will be able to enjoy a wholesome, healthy life, which then guarantees our, if you're a healthy person, certainly you'll function better and you accomplish more. And I think from a Christian point of view, it is good stewardship. I mean, I think it can be said differently. It's good stewardship of our body. And I know we haven't handled all the things. I'm sure there are questions. For example, if you do one Kesha, would that is that are you overstepping? Are you saying you must never be out there on the road in the midnight hour? I think, I guess we can talk about that in part two, the limits that we have. But I think what you basically labor to say, it's like refusing to bathe one day doesn't necessarily make you you will be smelly a little bit, but if you bathe the following day, then certainly you can make up for the sin of the one day missed. But we're saying sleep is something that we must do and do it right, and allow our body to go through the rhythm so that then it synchronizes everything and we have a wonderful, emotionally stable life. We're not suffering from insomnia, and that we can naturally flow, and then that means on our awake time, when we are awake, we are present in the conversations, isn't it? And we are present, we are real, we are tangible, we are effective. I think, I don't know, you could probably put it in your own words, that kind of a summary. And as we bring this to a close, is that Is that a view, a summary of what you've just been talking about?
You've given a very good one. The only thing I'll say is that sleep is when you heal.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Yes.
that's perfect, perfect, summary. Sleep is when you heal. So a lot of us are seriously undernourished. We don't take our medicine, our tablets faithfully every evening. And so that explains why we're behind. So sleep is like a tablet you take every night. Is that what you're saying?
It's when
And
you
if you
heal.
start,
I mean, it's when you are not angry. It's when you're not thinking hard stuff. It's basically when your body is rejuvenating. Your
absolutely,
cells are growing. So you're healing from whatever heartaches and anything that you went through during the day. And so that's
absolutely,
why we need to sleep, because we need to heal and wake up the following day better people.
absolutely. Thank you. I can't add any more words. So, Margaret, I truly appreciate your time. I know it's precious, and even though we had difficulties in terms of technology, getting online, I believe this material will be watched by many people, and it will help many refine their lives. I'll try and share it a little bit more, put it on the web, on the Facebook main Facebook page and all that. And I believe that this is going to be very, very helpful to a lot of people. I really, really appreciate your time. Now, before we close, you run the Family Wellness Center. And
Yes.
what does that do generally?
Um, we are counseling and consulting firm. We we do psychotherapy, or what you call counseling services, and then we also do nutrition counseling as well. We work with individuals, we work with families, and we work with groups. And like you said during the introduction, I'm also a child therapist. So I work with children, and especially children who have trauma experiences. Yes.
Okay, excellent. And so,
And maybe
yeah,
just to mention, the other thing is that, like for anyone who is watching us this evening, and you are struggling with the sleep, we can help do a sleep assessment. We'll check out, we'll keep tab of your 24 or we do it for 14 days to assess sleep, and then we teach sleep hygiene and help you get back into a good sleep routine.
okay, excellent,
Yes.
excellent. So, and people can check you out on Facebook. They can log into
Yes.
your. Do you have
Yes.
a website for the Family Wellness Center?
Yes, there is a website. Yes, you
Okay,
get
so
into
that's
the Family Wellness
www.
Center. You can also check the Family Wellness Center page. You can also check my page. The name on my Facebook page is Margaret Mbothi.
Yeah, okay, Margaret Boothie, and the Wellness Center is www. What?
fwc.co.ke.
Or fwc.co.ke. Okay, great, great
Yes.
stuff. Yeah, that's beautiful, beautiful. Do you have anything, any seminar coming up, any program like behind the scenes, that you're
Yes,
coming up and that you?
we have a training coming up starting the 3rd of September, and we are partnering with the Canadian Institute to train in childhood trauma and art and play therapy. The training is ideally very good for anyone who is working with children. We want them to understand when a child has gone through trauma, how does the trauma impact on them? We talk about adverse childhood experience, and we know that our personality is developed during the first years of life. So what happens for a child with the neglect, sexual abuse, physical abuse, abuse, whatever. Like, for example, even children who are growing up in families where they are witnessing violence, what does that mean for this child later on in their adolescence and in their adult life? We'll be looking at theories of child development that will help you understand. We'll also be looking at the impact, and we are going to give the participants skills, especially in art and play therapy, that you can use to help manage the children and help the children. So any teacher, any children's officer, any social worker, any Sunday school teacher, and adolescent facilitators in church, it's a great training. It's going to be online. We'll have webinars every Thursday of the week for 3 hours. And then we have lots and lots of videos and the other materials that we are going to send. It's going to be intense, but it's one training that I would tell anyone working with children who has an interest in children. That's a training. Please get on. Yeah, you get value, and you'll be a better child facilitator.
Good. And so, you once you produce a poster, I can share that out on my pages. And
yes, there is a poster. I can send it to you on WhatsApp, and then you can share it. Yeah.
Okay, I would love to share it and endorse it, and so that people can link up to it. Great. I totally appreciate your input tonight, Margaret. It was really it's wonderful to have your expertise and to bring very, very practical help on this particular important subject of sleep and sleep hygiene. Thank you so much, Margaret. I really, really appreciate you being on the show. And so for all of you that have been watching,
pleasure. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. So for all of you that have been watching, this is the GG Report. We come to you every Friday evening. And like I've been saying, we're preparing ourselves to broaden this so that we can have more of this and link up to, bring you more exciting ideas and programs that will enlighten you. Remember, we focus on big, bold, and honest conversations that really empower you and enlighten you so that you can be successful in life. Thank you so much. So from my desk, it is bye-bye and good night. And thank you so much. And thank you, Margaret, for allowing yourself to stay with me late at night. So it's good night to all of you. Thank you. Thank you very much. God bless you. And bye-bye.